Okay, so get this. Imagine
Yeah.
you're heading back home to Nairobi after a trip to London.
Okay.
You step off the plane.
Right.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Kenya feels more technologically advanced.
Yeah.
That's the scene that NW 2030 paints.
Wow.
And it's just the tip of the iceberg in this deep dive into the trends that'll reshape our world.
Oh, yeah.
You send over a fascinating collection of articles and research about this, and I can't wait to unpack it all.
It's not just about individual trends, though. It's
I-
how they collide. We're talking seismic shifts in demographics, technology exploding in unpredictable ways,
Oh, yeah.
and the global economy getting rewritten before our eyes.
Wow.
You're really interested in what all of this means for you. And
Right.
honestly, that's the best part.
Yeah.
Figuring out the opportunities, the challenges, and how to navigate it all.
So that scene in Nairobi with Kenya leaping ahead,
Right.
it's not just a sci-fi daydream. It's about a very real trend, the population paradox.
Interesting.
While birth rates are slowing down in developed countries, they're booming in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East.
Wow.
It's wild. For every baby born in the US,
Okay.
you've got 4.4 in China, 6.5 in India,
Yeah.
and get this, over 10 in Africa.
Yeah.
That's going to completely redefine global leadership and the balance of power.
Wow.
We're not just talking economics,
Right.
but who calls the shots on the world stage, how resources are allocated.
Yeah.
Everything's up for grabs.
Okay, but before we spiral into a population bomb panic, let's debunk that myth, even with this growth.
Okay.
Africa's got a lower population density than most of Europe or Asia.
Really?
The continent's huge, it can handle it.
It's not just about space, though. It's
Oh.
about opportunity.
Yeah.
This massive wave of young people coming into adulthood, they're ambitious, they're connected,
Yeah.
and they're driving change in ways we haven't seen before. That brings us right back to you. Think about it, where you'll work, the kinds of products and services you'll be using,
Yeah.
even where you might live. It's all going to be shaped by this.
And for anyone out there thinking about starting a business,
Right.
this is huge.
Yeah.
This new generation of consumers is going to rewrite the rules of the game.
Which brings us to our next massive trend,
Okay.
the evolving middle class.
Interesting.
And for this, I've got a story.
Okay.
Weber Grills, you know,
Yeah.
the iconic American barbecue. They're blowing up in India.
Wow.
Now, you might not think those two things go together,
Right.
but it perfectly captures how emerging middle classes are embracing new lifestyles.
It goes deeper than just,
Yeah.
hey, grilling is cool now.
Right.
This new middle class in emerging economies is totally different from the old middle class in developed nations.
Interesting.
The old middle class is dealing with stagnant wages,
Right.
feeling stuck. This new middle class is all about aspiration, new money, and a hunger to move up in the world.
It's not just about keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
It's about creating a whole new standard.
Exactly.
And that has huge implications for businesses.
Absolutely. If companies want to survive, they need to understand this new consumer.
Right.
What are their values? What are their aspirations? What problems are they trying to solve?
Yeah.
But if you can tap into that, you're golden.
And it's already playing out in surprising ways.
Oh, really?
The article you sent about Chinese furniture companies booming while American ones struggle, that's this shift in action.
Interesting.
The consumer landscape is changing right before our eyes.
The global economy is being rewritten.
Wow.
It's not just about selling the same old product in a new market.
Right.
It's about understanding what this new generation of consumers wants and delivering on that.
Speaking of rewriting the rules,
Okay.
let's dive into something that's constantly shaking things up.
Yeah.
Technology's disruptive power.
Interesting.
We're not talking about incremental upgrades here,
Right.
but game-changing innovations happening at warp speed. And here's a fact to blow your mind.
Okay.
In some parts of the world,
Yeah.
there are more cell phones than toilets.
That shows you how unevenly technology is distributed.
Oh.
But also its power to solve problems we thought were intractable. What we're seeing is creative destruction in action.
Right.
Industries getting upended, new ones being born, all thanks to technology.
The article about Lewitt, talk about turning a problem into an opportunity.
Yeah.
They created a waterless toilet that generates electricity to charge phones.
Wow.
Talk about innovation where you need it most.
And then you've got 3D printing completely changing the manufacturing game.
Oh, yeah?
We're talking localized production, less waste, and a whole new era of personalized products.
And let's not forget about virtual reality, going way beyond gaming. Treating autism, helping people regain motor functions. The potential in healthcare is just mind-blowing.
Wow.
All of this makes me wonder,
Yeah.
what skills are even going to be relevant in this future?
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Adaptability is key.
Right.
Being able to learn, unlearn, and relearn constantly.
Yeah.
And critical thinking is going to be more important than ever.
Right.
We're bombarded with information, being able to analyze, connect the dots, see the bigger picture. That's what's going to set people apart.
So for you listening, it's time to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This isn't about predicting the future.
Right.
It's about being ready to ride the wave.
It's like surfing. You're not going to control the waves, but you can learn how to ride them.
And speaking of waves,
Okay.
our next trend feels like one that's both exciting and a little controversial.
Yeah.
The rise of the sharing economy. Now, before we get into the specifics of Airbnb and Uber, let's ask the big question.
Yeah.
Could this actually help us fight climate change?
It's a question worth exploring.
Right.
On the one hand, you've got this potential for optimizing resource use, reducing waste, and fostering a sense of community.
And on the other hand, you've got concerns about rising housing costs, worker exploitation, and the whole tragedy of the commons thing, where something meant for good gets overused and ultimately falls apart.
It's not a simple yes or no answer.
Right.
It's about weighing the potential benefits against the potential risks.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to create a sharing economy that actually works for everyone.
And that's where I think your personal experiences come in.
Okay.
Have you used Airbnb? Taken an Uber? What's your take on the sharing economy? Does it feel like a force for good, or is there a sense of unease?
The sharing economy is pushing us to rethink ownership and access. It's not going away. So the question is how we shape it, how we ensure it benefits society as a whole, not just a select few.
And that leads us to a trend that might feel a little abstract at first.
Okay.
But trust me, this is about to get fascinating.
Okay.
The future of money.
Interesting.
Picture Marco Polo in 13th century China, completely bewildered by the concept of paper money.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we are now, on the verge of a financial revolution.
And this revolution is being driven by blockchain technology and the rise of cryptocurrencies.
We're not just talking about digital money here.
Yeah.
This is about rethinking trust, transparency, and the very foundations of our financial system.
Imagine a world where you can track the origin of your food.
Wow.
Verify the authenticity of a product. Even vote in an election with complete transparency and security.
That's amazing.
That's the power of the blockchain.
It's about creating systems that are more efficient,
Yeah.
more equitable, and less prone to corruption.
The implications go far beyond finance.
Right.
We're talking about potentially transforming everything from healthcare to government
Wow.
to how we interact with each other online.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And this is really just the beginning of our deep dive.
We've only scratched the surface of the trends you've shared.
Right.
And the really exciting part is all of this is interconnected. These trends are colliding, shaping each other, and creating a future that's both exhilarating and unpredictable.
Absolutely.
It's like we're standing on the edge of a brand new world, and the map is being drawn as we walk.
Right.
It's definitely a time to embrace the unknown.
Absolutely.
And speaking of things that are often misunderstood,
Okay.
the whole concept of generations is getting a serious makeover.
Interesting.
We used to define them by age and shared experiences, but it's getting way more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it feels like those lines are blurring. I mean, we think of millennials as digital natives, but my aunt, who's pushing 70, is practically a tech guru.
Wow.
She's on Instagram more than my teenage cousins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, people are living longer, healthier lives.
Right.
Retirement's not a hard stop anymore. It's more of a transition.
Interesting.
So those traditional generational divides, they just don't hold up the same way.
We need a whole new dictionary for how we talk about generations.
Yeah.
But before we go inventing words,
right,
let's zoom in on one group that's been both celebrated and criticized.
Right.
Millennials.
Interesting.
They've been called lazy and titled even narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the whole story?
It's way too simplistic.
Right.
You have to look at the context.
Yeah.
This is the generation that graduated into a recession.
Oh, wow.
With crazy high housing costs and student loan debt, that's basically a mortgage before they even buy a house.
Talk about a rough start.
Right.
It's like they got handed a rule book. Then someone changed all the rules halfway through the game.
Exactly.
But the thing is, millennials are also incredibly resilient, entrepreneurial, and they're really driven by making a difference in the world.
It's like those challenges force them to be adaptable, to hustle, to create their own opportunities. And it shaped their values in a big way.
Yeah.
They're delaying marriage, home ownership, not because they don't want those things, but because the traditional path just isn't working for them.
So they're rewriting the script. It makes you wonder, how will they redefine what it means to be middle class or to age gracefully?
Interesting.
It's a question we'll be grappling with for years to come.
Speaking of aging,
okay,
let's tackle another trend that's often framed in a doom and gloom way.
Yeah.
But I think it's full of potential.
Okay.
The global aging population.
Great.
And it's not just a developed world thing. It's everywhere. By 2030, China is going to have a huge percentage of its population over 60.
We're not just talking about more senior discounts at the movies.
Right.
This is a fundamental shift in the makeup of society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it has huge implications for healthcare systems, consumer markets, everything. But instead of freaking out about the so-called silver tsunami, what if we reframe it as the rise of the gray market?
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
The gray market. And we know they have a ton of spending power.
Yeah.
And they're increasingly focused on quality of life, staying active, and feeling connected.
Right.
This is a market ripe for innovation.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Personalized healthcare solutions. Products and services that promote active aging. Technology that helps people stay connected and engaged.
Right.
This isn't about senior living, it's about living well longer.
And technology can play a huge role here.
Oh, absolutely.
Robotic companions to help with everyday tasks. Smart homes that make aging in place safer and more comfortable.
Yeah.
Telehealth to make accessing healthcare easier.
Right.
The possibilities are endless.
And don't forget about fintech.
Oh, yeah.
Financial technology that can help older adults manage their money, avoid scams, and stay financially secure.
Right.
It's about empowering people, not just providing care.
But let's not get so caught up in the tech that we forget the human element.
Right.
Building communities that support older adults.
Yeah.
Fighting loneliness, fostering intergenerational connections. Those are all crucial pieces of the puzzle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Technology should be a tool to enhance human connection, not replace it.
Absolutely.
And speaking of connection,
okay,
let's move on to a trend that's all about bringing people together, but also raises some big questions. The rise of cities.
It's always fascinating to me that even with all this amazing technology that lets us connect virtually, people are still drawn to cities.
Yeah. It's because cities are hubs of innovation, creativity, and economic opportunity.
Right.
You get this amazing mix of people from different backgrounds with different ideas, and that sparks new solutions and ways of thinking. But as populations keep growing, cities are also facing some serious challenges. We're talking inequality, poverty, pressure on infrastructure. The list goes on.
You sent over this book, The New Urban Crisis.
Yeah.
And it paints a pretty stark picture of cities becoming increasingly divided with extreme wealth existing right next to extreme poverty.
It raises the question, how do we design cities that are both economically thriving and socially just?
Right.
How do we create affordable housing, accessible transportation, and opportunities for everyone to succeed?
And then you've got the environmental challenges, reducing pollution, managing resources sustainably.
Dealing with the impacts of climate change.
It's a lot to tackle.
It's complex for sure.
Yeah.
But this is where lateral thinking comes in.
Okay.
It's about connecting the dots, finding creative solutions, and seeing opportunities where others see roadblocks.
Oh, yeah. Our favorite concept from OW 2030.
Yeah.
Lateral thinking is like finding that secret passageway in a video game. It lets you get to the next level in a way you never expected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for cities, lateral thinking might mean incorporating green spaces and vertical farms to improve air quality and grow food locally.
Wow.
Using smart technology to manage traffic and reduce congestion, even designing buildings that are both beautiful and energy efficient.
It's about creating urban environments that are functional, yes.
Yeah.
But also inspiring, welcoming
Right.
places where people want to live, work, and connect.
One of the articles you sent talked about the importance of street-level culture.
Oh, interesting.
Those vibrant, walkable neighborhoods with cafe shops.
Public spaces where people can bump into each other.
Right.
Strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
Build relationships.
It's about making cities feel human, not just concrete jungles.
Right.
And that brings us back to you. What will it take for you to thrive in the cities of the future?
Yeah.
What kind of environment do you want to be a part of?
It's about finding your tribe, your community, the people who share your values and make the city feel like home.
And it's about being proactive.
Yeah.
About getting involved in shaping the future of your city.
Right.
Whether it's supporting local businesses, volunteering for a cause you care about, or advocating for policies that make your city more livable.
Yeah.
You have a role to play.
The future of cities isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create together.
Absolutely.
And speaking of creating the future,
Okay.
let's dive into a topic that's both exhilarating and a little scary.
Right.
The future of technology.
We've talked about specific innovations, but let's zoom out and look at the big picture.
We're in the middle of a technological revolution, a period of exponential growth that's unlike anything we've ever seen.
Wow.
It's like the Cambrian explosion. But for technology,
Well, AI, robotics, nanotech, biotech, it's all converging and reshaping industries in ways we can barely imagine.
and it's not just about the tech itself, it's about the ethical implications. One of the articles you shared talked about the need for ethical frameworks for AI to ensure that these powerful technologies are used for good, not to exacerbate inequality or create new forms of discrimination.
We're essentially creating new life forms in a way.
Yeah.
And with that comes a huge responsibility to make sure those life forms are beneficial,
Right.
not destructive.
We can't just blindly embrace every shiny new gadget.
Right.
We have to ask tough questions.
Yeah.
How will this technology impact our lives, our communities, our planet?
Right.
What are the potential unintended consequences?
Yeah.
And how can we use technology to create a more just, equitable, and sustainable future?
These are the questions that are going to define the next decade.
Absolutely.
And speaking of defining the decade,
Okay.
let's shift gears and talk about a topic that's on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
The future of work.
Right.
With automation, AI, and the gig economy shaking things up, it's hard to know what skills will be in demand 10 years from now.
One of the reports you sent predicted that by 2030,
Yeah.
a significant portion of jobs as we know them could be automated.
Right, and it's not just manual labor.
Yeah.
We're talking about tasks that require cognitive skills like data analysis, even some aspects of customer service.
It's kind of unsettling to think about, right?
Yeah.
What happens to all those people whose jobs are automated?
Right.
What does the future hold for them?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's one we need to address head on.
Right.
We have to invest in education and retraining programs that equip people with the skills they'll need for the jobs of the future.
Jobs that require creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving.
Yeah.
Those uniquely human skills
Yeah.
that machines can't easily replicate.
Right.
It's not just about coding. It's about being able to adapt,
Yeah.
to learn new things quickly, to see the big picture and connect the dots.
And let's not forget the potential for entirely new industries and job categories to emerge, ones we haven't even conceived of yet.
Yeah.
Just like the internet created a whole new world of work, so too will the technological advancements of the next decade.
It's a reminder that amidst all the disruption and uncertainty,
Yeah.
there's also a tremendous amount of opportunity.
Absolutely.
The key is to stay curious, adaptable, and open to new possibilities.
And that leads perfectly into our final topic for this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Navigating the future. With all these trends converging, it can be overwhelming to think about how to prepare for what's ahead.
Right.
But there are some key takeaways from your research that can help us approach the future with a sense of optimism and agency.
You mentioned lateral thinking earlier.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it.
Right.
It's about connecting those seemingly disparate ideas, seeing patterns, and finding opportunities where others see only obstacles. It's like being a detective, but instead of solving a crime, you're solving the future.
Right.
And another big idea from UW 2030 is about anticipating dead ends.
Yeah.
It's like having that spidey sense that tells you when you're headed down a path that's going to lead nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about avoiding decisions that lock you in and being willing to pivot when you need to.
Right.
Flexibility and adaptability are your superpowers in a world that's constantly changing.
The book uses the story of Rapa Nui, Easter Island, to illustrate this.
Oh, interesting.
It's a cautionary tale about depleting resources and failing to adapt.
Right.
But it's also a story of resilience. The islanders eventually figured out how to live sustainably with what they had.
It's a powerful reminder that even when things look bleak, human ingenuity and the will to survive can pull us through.
Absolutely.
We have the power to learn from the past and create a different future.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's bring it back to you.
Yeah.
What steps can you take today to start prepping for the world of 2030?
Cultivating a growth mindset is essential. Embrace lifelong learning and be open to new experiences.
Right.
The skills you have today might be obsolete tomorrow, so the ability to learn and adapt is your most valuable asset.
It's about staying curious and always seeking out new knowledge and skills.
Yeah.
Whether it's through formal education, online courses, or just good old-fashioned conversations with people who challenge your thinking.
And let's not forget about your financial future. Traditional retirement planning might not cut it anymore.
Yeah.
You need a plan that accounts for longevity, potential career changes, and the fact that the financial landscape is transforming right before our eyes.
Don't be afraid to explore new financial tools and technologies.
Right.
Cryptocurrencies, blockchain, fintech. It can feel overwhelming, but understanding these trends could be the key to financial security in the future.
And lastly, remember that navigating the future isn't just about individual preparation.
Right.
It's about collective action.
Yeah.
We need to build resilient communities, collaborate to solve shared problems, and create a future that works for everyone.
We're all in this together, right?
Absolutely.
So let's foster those connections, support each other, and work towards a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
This deep dive has been a whirlwind, but I hope it's left you feeling informed, energized, and ready to take on whatever the future throws your way.
We've just scratched the surface of the trends you shared, but hopefully this gives you a solid framework for thinking about the world of 2030.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as a final thought, to leave you with something to ponder as you continue your own exploration, will the convergence of these trends lead to a more equal world, or will it widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots?
Interesting.
It's a question that's worth wrestling with as we head towards this exciting and sometimes daunting future.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interesting ride.
It definitely is. And thanks for taking it with us.